Well, welcome, real estate fans, to another episode of Seattle's Real Estate Podcast. I'm Dan Edwards, your host, and I'm here to provide you the inside scoop of living, working, and playing across the greater Seattle area, including the East Side. Now, we changed our brand name just a little bit. We've been making some minor adjustments because we want to reflect the bigger purpose of this team and this podcast, and that is to shed the light of living, working, playing, and loving where you live here in the greater Seattle area. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of January. Happy New Year, everybody. We're glad you're watching. Please do like us on Facebook and YouTube where you find us, and go ahead and subscribe to those channels. You can also find us anywhere podcasts are streamed, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. We would love your feedback and rating in those locations. We hope that we provide an entertaining and informative podcast about living, working, playing on the East Side, in Seattle. I have to change that. It'll take me a little while. We have a spectacular podcast today. We are actually going to be talking during our Real Talk segment, should you buy, sell, or invest in 2024? Then we will be joined by our good friend Tucker Maxwell for our mortgage moment that will be talking about the financial side of it. It's some very interesting stuff, folks, very exciting stuff. And I hope that if you are watching this podcast, you find it as exciting as I do, that you share it with your friends, because it's going to be very informative for anybody that has any moves. And then one of my really favorite things, we're welcoming a business, Earthwise Architectural. Aaron Blanchard will be joining us, and he owns a company called Earthwise Architectural. It's an environmentally friendly company that does salvage, for architectural salvage, that helps you kind of find materials that will be an awesome fit. So there's going to be a lot of great, amazing content on this podcast. You might want to take some notes, so buckle up. But as you know, first, we're going to jump into our Real Talk segment. All right, if you're like me, you think about real estate all the time, and it's true. It's a part of our national psyche. For some time now, we've been thinking and wondering, what's going to be the best possible time to buy or sell? For renters, it may seem unobtainable. For homeowners looking to go into a larger home, it may seem frustrating. And for investors, you may be saying, well, where are the cash flow properties, right? Well, here's a few things to consider as you're evaluating your real estate needs in 2024. First and most importantly is know your why. Oh, I've got a cool banner for this. I got to do that. Boom, know your why. Take some time to evaluate the real reason why you're considering buying in any market. Do you have needs? Are you frustrated with, as a renter, sometimes you're frustrated with the fact that things don't get fixed on your time. Things are run down. You wish you could have better quality carpet. You wish that you could repaint the house. You wish that you had a yard that was fully fenced, or a hot water tank that wasn't leaking all the time. So as a renter, you got to evaluate. These are some of the things that then become your problem, right? Are you comfortable with that? Does it make you feel more grounded in the community when you own versus rent? Now, many people can rent for many years and they're happy, and I have no problem with that. But in order to really have a strong understanding of what it's going to take to own a home in 2024, you need to have a good, solid, grounded why. Number 2, figure out your wants and your needs and define the two. In a marketplace where inventory, well, technically we are in a housing shortage, and this is a nationwide housing shortage that has no end in sight. So first off, you need to evaluate, what do I need, right? And if you're a couple buying a home together, you need to probably each go separate rooms and write down your needs, and then come back together and find out what are the most important needs for the two of you moving forward together. Same thing goes for investors. Investors need to know, what is our bottom line? How much cash flow are we looking for? Are we looking for cash flow properties? Are we looking for appreciation? Are we looking for appreciation and cash flow? Are we looking for something that we can add value to? Once you've written down the things that you need, then start adding wants. Well, sure, I want a property that will throw me $1,000 a month, but I need it to throw me $200 a month, have positive cash flow at least for the time being, because I'm willing to wait for the appreciation as well as some pay down on the mortgage or adjustments by moving out current renters, renovating the house, and then putting in new renters at a higher price, right? So evaluate from an investment standpoint, not just what you need, which is cash flow, 100% cash flow. Some people just go for appreciation. That's not on my list. And then a pathway to more cash flow in the future, because that's what it should be. If you're a move up or a move down buyer, right? Or right size. I know some people get like, I'm not downsizing, but I'm right sizing. I get it. Maybe you only need 2 bedrooms or 2 rooms in the house. And so evaluate what is needed and determine, are you spending a bunch of money or time and capital in a dilapidated home because you're just maintaining 2 rooms and the rest are really sitting empty. So take some time to figure out needs and wants, evaluate that, and then determine if now's the time to take action. And this one I pair with our next conversation with Tucker Maxwell, which is getting a clear budget and understanding how to make your money work for you in this environment. Now, if you're renting or you're owning a home, you're paying a mortgage. It's just a matter of, are you paying your own, right? So on a rent, it's 100% interest, meaning none of that goes into principal or equity into the home. So find out from your lender, right, what it looks like to buy now. What is an affordable cash flow for you? Same thing on investments. If you're investing in something, what is going to be the cost of your money so you can turn a positive outcome? So I know that's an oversimplification, but of course, a professional is there to help you, walk you through what the possibilities, because one piece that's missing here is location. So once you've determined why and you've figured out your needs and then figured out your budget, the next part comes in, how does that fit into a puzzle? And a professional like us here at the Seattle Real Estate Team, any of our agents can help you determine where your why, your needs, and your budget can put you into the home that will help you grow equity and build long-term wealth, which is what our goal is with all of our clients. So that is our Real Talk segment, and I hope you found it informative. I'm really excited for 2024. 2022 and 23 were some bumpy years, a lot of big changes in the marketplace, and I think things will settle out, and we're going to have a great opportunity for those who get informed, know their why, and get working with a professional. So we're going to take a short commercial break, and we're going to welcome our good friend Tucker Maxwell after this short commercial break.
Are you wearing too many hats in your small business? Finding yourself wondering where the time went? Do you ever get frustrated with technology that should just work? Then you need Nerds to Go, America's small business IT department. 425-800-NERD. At Nerds to Go, we provide friendly, professional, and reasonably priced solutions for small business owners. From network troubleshooting to hardware repair or training, let Nerds to Go be your IT department. Call Nerds to Go today. We'll come to you. 425-800-NERD. That's 425-800-NERD.
All right, welcome back to the show. I am joined here. I wasn't going to put this slide up just yet. I'm joined here by Tucker Maxwell. He is a mortgage loan officer with Guild Mortgage. He's in the top 1% of loan originators nationwide. And today we're going to talk about what your home purchase means in 2024. We're going to dive into some numbers and look at the financial advantages and how to, I know we say not to do this, but how to maybe even time the market. I really appreciate you coming in, Tucker. Let's get started with some cool charts and graphs. Oh, before we do, hold on a second. How was your New Year's? How was your Christmas holiday? I don't think I've seen you in a little while. What'd you guys do?
It was fantastic. You know, we did a 3-day tour of the Olympic Peninsula. So if your viewers haven't done that, it's a fantastic thing to do. Took my mom from Idaho to Cape Flattery, and then through the Hoh Rainforest, and just saw all the awesome things that the Olympic Peninsula has to offer. Lots of moss and ferns. Exactly. And it is the rainy season. So it's the perfect time to go to the rainforest.
That's cool. Very good. You know what? There's if you take a ferry across, right, to, what is this? Kingston. Is that right? No. Yeah, Kingston. Then you can get out around Port Angeles and then down into the rainforest from there.
Exactly. Yep. Through Forks. Famous for its pasty white people. I'm just kidding. A lot of rain,
right?
Vampires.
And vampires, rain in the, yeah. I'm sorry, I vaguely remember a book series about that, but totally vaguely remember a book series. All right, so let's talk about the opportunity. So I'm going to pop up this graphic, and hopefully you can kind of explain what are we looking at here, and why is this important to our conversation about 2024 real estate and buying.
Yeah, absolutely. So the big question is what's going to happen with mortgage rates this year, right? Are rates going up or down, and what does that mean for home buyers? And the easiest way to really anticipate or to understand where rates are going is to understand the Fed impact on mortgage rates. The Fed doesn't actually control the mortgage rate, but what you can see by this chart is the blue line is the federal funds effective rate, which is the rate that banks borrow from one another on a night-to-night basis. And the red line indicates your home rates, your mortgage rates. And what you can see here is it tracks pretty closely. As the blue line dips, the red line dips. As the blue line goes up, the red line goes up. So what we know is if the Fed anticipates lowering rates in 2024, that should in turn lower mortgage rates this year. And so we're really excited that hopefully the peak is behind us. We've seen the highest rate that we're going to see in this time period. And we're hoping that as the Fed lowers rates this year, mortgage rates will follow suit.
Right. So as I look at that, I see, the line telling up, and who's Fred? Is that somebody besides the Fed?
It is. That's just who puts this information together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. But you can see that and again, that blue line is not anything that's directly tied to mortgage rates, but it is somewhat indirectly tied to mortgage rates. And so by raising that, when you hear of people talking about the Fed raising or lowering rates, it's not the red line that they're affecting, it's the blue line.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you look on the far right of the chart, in 2022 was when they started to raise rates, and they raised it consistently through 2022 and all through 2023. And as they raised the federal funds rate, mortgage rates followed suit and reached 8% last year.
Gotcha. And so then we did, and 8% was what, October or somewhere around there? October,
yeah, roughly.
Let's see. So October, and since then we've kind of seen steady pressure. Now everybody's excited about this. They're like, rates are going to drop. Rates are going to drop. So how soon till we get back to 3%?
Well, 3% might be something that we may or may not see again. That 3% rate was probably part of the government's plan to keep people in their homes while they were out of work due to the pandemic. So that might have been artificially lowered to a point to just keep people in their homes. But we can anticipate rates in the 5s and low 6s for sure in this next 12 months.
Yeah. And you had mentioned that the Fed spoke today, and they said don't anticipate mortgage rates dropping significantly. But we were talking about why that makes now a really good time to consider it. So tell me about this chart here.
Yeah, so there's multiple factors to trying to time the market. And of course, we don't ever want to time the market. We want to be in the market. So time in the market is always more important than trying to time it perfectly. But this goes back to a comment you made in the Real Talk segment about inventory. The blue lines here indicate the number of new homes that are being built. So you can see from 2004 for about 10, 12 years, new homes being built outpaced the yellow bars, which represent new household formation. So think of a couple, they come together, they're ready to buy a house. That's a new household formation. And for a long time, new homes being built outpaced new family formations. If you look to the right half of the chart, that is now switched. We are seeing a lot more new households being formed, so families being formed, and the rate at which new homes are being built is not keeping pace. And so the inventory challenges that we're seeing are going to continue until this reverses course.
Right. And really, we don't necessarily, I mean, one chart we may want to look at on future podcasts is maybe taking a look at the, what is it, the builder index, right?
Yeah, the sentiment.
Yeah, just the builder sentiment index is how optimistic are the builders from saying, let's go build more stuff, right?
Yep.
If they're just kind of so, then that's not going to help. But if they're very optimistic, this sign should show them some optimism, these kind of rates. But the other part is cost of materials, cost of labor, right? And the overall economy, and just wondering if it's going to stabilize. So yeah, so there's a good thing. Okay, so now this is the big opportunity then. So explain these things and what you have highlighted here and why that's important to the buyer right now.
Yeah. So the question we get asked is like, when's the right time to buy? And of course, the right time to buy is when it's right for you. So going back again, Dan, to your question, know your why. When it's the right time for you, that's the right time. But if we were trying to time it or to get some perspective on the people that benefited the most or got the greatest return on their investment, are the folks that bought right before the drops in interest rates. And so if we combine the first couple of slides, what this now shows us is home appreciation compared to the average interest rate at that time. And you can see the green bars that I've highlighted. Those are years where there was double-digit appreciation, great appreciation, right? Homes were doubling in value very quickly. And what you'll see is off to the right of that, rates were going down, right? As rates came down, appreciation went up. This was 2020, 2021, when we saw the crazy bidding wars. Rates were at 2.5% to 3%. And so people had the liquidity to overpay, quote unquote, for a home, which drove appreciation up. So if you look in 2020, there was a 10% appreciation that year, and the average interest rate was 3.5%. As the interest rate continued to fall, came all the way down to 3.17% on average, and we saw another 19% appreciation. So the question is, who benefited most? The people that bought in 2021 at the lowest interest rate, or the folks that bought in 2019 at a 4.46% interest rate, so a higher interest rate, but then were able to enjoy 29% appreciation while they were in the home. So if we look back at all these times, 1976, 2001, those people that bought right before the dip in interest rates actually benefited the most because they were in the home and they got to enjoy the appreciation versus enjoying the low interest rate, but now paying 29% more for the home.
Yeah. All signs point to a spring that's going to be full of competitive situations. So, what we have seen already in December, since we saw a softening of rates, is an uptick in mortgage applications. You saw that. And we've seen an uptick of showing traffic. So the smart people are out there now. Bah humbug, forget about celebrating Christmas and the New Year's. They're buying a house. As a matter of fact, several of our agents just got in the mutual acceptance yesterday. So they're very, very serious about it. And I think that's, like I said, we don't like to say timing the market, but if I could look at this again and you look at, when those interest rates are coming down, you recognize that full appreciation. Maybe it's not the perfect house for your first home here in 2024, but when you take that appreciation in the next couple of years, and maybe the market's got more inventory and there's new construction built somewhere that has exactly what you're looking for, you recognize that appreciation and move it over to the home of your dreams. Tucker, great charts, great information. I know we talked about trying to present this earlier, but with the holiday, it just took so long. But I hope that if you're watching this video, you've watched the recording, you'll reach out to Tucker. His number is going across the screen. It's 425-757-9202, 425-757-9202. Call him, set up a time to consult with him and find out what it makes sense. Anything else to add? Any last thoughts?
I think that's it. The one thing I would add is, so we were at 8%. So if we just do the quick payment difference, so when we were at 8%, if you were trying to buy a $500,000 home with 20% down, your payment was roughly $2,900. So let's just call it $3,000. We're now today at a roughly 6.5%. That payment has come down $450 or $500. So in just a short 8 weeks, so as we have seen rates come down, that's already making a difference in $500 in monthly payment.
That's awesome. Now, here's the good news is our next segment, we're going to talk about once you get that house, how to utilize some awesome ways, cash flow saving ways to make it even better. So thank you, Tucker, for your mortgage moment. Appreciate it. We'll come back after this very short commercial break.
Are you worried about your health holding up as you age? Buying a new home often involves paying your mortgage for 15 to 30 years, and you'll need to be at your best to keep working strong as you age. Cummins Chiropractic and Wellness has helped families just like yours regain optimum health as they work hard to provide for their family. The team at Cummins Chiropractic and Wellness treats patients with both crisis care and lifestyle care with our state-of-the-art individualized services. We have seen thousands of people reach and maintain their best health as they age. To learn more about how chiropractic can help you achieve your best health, you can call Cummins Chiropractic and Wellness at 425-590-9158 or reach us online at CumminsChiropractic.com.
All right, welcome back to the show, our podcast. I am your host, Dan Edwards, managing broker of the Seattle real estate team. And today I'm joined by Mary Abraham, a broker on our team, and our guest, Aaron Blanchard, director of operations at Earthwise Architectural Salvage. From doors to windows, lighting to lumber, Earthwise warehouses in Seattle, Kenmore, Tacoma, and Aberdeen are treasure troves of unique pieces with high quality building materials and architectural gems like stained glass, wrought iron, and antique columns. Aaron and the rest of the Earthwise team offers salvage services and guidance for your home projects. Started in 1991, Earthwise Architectural Salvage has been in the Pacific Northwest for 30 years and counting. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Now I got to figure out how to get you kind of there. That's better because I don't need to be the giant person in the show. But all right, cool. Look at this. We got a triple slide of this. All right, so tell us about your journey into architectural salvage.
Sure, yeah. So I had just, I think it was 2014. I'd just gotten out of a couple of years in Peace Corps, Uganda, and I was kind of just aimlessly figuring out the next steps. And I was talking to a buddy of mine and kind of a late night with him. And he's a demolition contractor, and he was I was asking if he had any jobs, side work I could work on, and he mentioned someone that comes to his job sites and pulls up all the floorboards. And I was like, hold on, man, what's that called? I've never heard of that before. And he was like, I think it's like salvage or something. So, popped on, I think it was Craigslist at the time, and saw that a company called Earthwise was hiring, and they actually didn't have a position for me at the time, but I think they just saw how eager I was to get into it. And so they hired me and kind of created a position for me down at our Tacoma location. And then about 9.5 years later, here I am, director of operations of the company. And we've opened 2 stores since then. And we're on kind of an upward trajectory right now.
Nice.
That's stellar, Aaron. Can you tell us about how Earthwise started?
Yeah, so kind of like you mentioned, in the early 90s, actually late 80s, the owner was, he was a demolition contractor, kind of a general contractor, and he was the guy that just kept saving everything. Kind of standard operating procedure when you're demolishing a house is to just crunch it into as small pieces as possible, leave everything inside the house, get it in some dumpsters, send it to the landfill. And he just he's like, this door is amazing, and also realizing, seeing what's being put in modern houses, and, it's like everything's made out of vinyl now instead of, old growth, beautiful Douglas fir that was, probably milled in the county of the house where the house was built. Yeah. So he just kind of kept, on a slippery slope to becoming a hoarder. His garage became fuller and fuller until eventually he rented a parking lot, hired his homeless neighbor, and they built a little shed, and he just started selling stuff out of there. And then, time went on, we got more locations, and kind of the cool thing that brings it all back together is we just opened our Kenmore location this last summer, and we are across the street from the parking lot that he originally rented to start Earthwise. So it's kind of come full circle.
Wow.
That's awesome. So then how does incorporating architectural salvage add to the value of a property or project?
Sure. I mean, I think kind of, higher quality and lower price. Typically, if it's something that's still available on the market, we sell it for half price. It kind of struck me with your opening, when you're talking about new homeowners, wanting to do all these things and kind of wondering if it's possible. I mean, you mentioned fencing, you mentioned appliances. Those are the kind of things that we sell at half price here. So, most of the time, a water heater is, lived a couple of years in a house, and then somebody moves out, somebody decides, buys the place, decides to gut it. That's when we get a call. We go in, our crews remove all the stuff very carefully. We bring it back to our warehouses that are available for the public to come shop. We also have everything on our online inventory, so you can shop in your pajamas at home. but it's a really nice way. It was really important for me when I got my first house was to be able to outfit it in a way where I felt like it wasn't just, the very cookie cutter, whatever Home Depot has. You can add a lot of character, as well as getting, basically the crappy particle board cabinets you can get at Home Depot. You can come here and for probably a little less money, you'll get the plywood version of that. That's not going to disintegrate when water touches it. Things like that. So you really, it's on the quality and the price end that there's a lot of value in salvage.
Are you seeing any current trends in the use of architectural salvage in real estate development at this time, Aaron?
Well, there's a lot of things happening, kind of at the permitting level. One of the big ones is recently they've made it so that you can use salvage lumber in the structure of your building. It used to be that you would have to get like an architect or an engineer to like grade your salvage lumber, and now they've designated as like any salvage lumber is just by definition going to be higher quality than the new stuff. So that's kind of a big trend. Deconstruction's a thing we're hearing a lot about, and something that you guys have probably heard is might be on the horizon for developers is instead of demolishing houses, they're actually going to start making people deconstruct them or incentivizing deconstruction. So rather than crunching it into little pieces, you take it apart by hand and you can reuse every single piece of it. And then there's kind of the design element too. I think people are getting a little bored of the millennial gray kind of look that you see a lot of flips, it's like just the gray floors, the white trim. And so if you just, add a beautiful old growth mantle can be just like this, a real, something nice to add some character to a kind of a bit of a sterile look that has been trendy lately. So we've noticed a lot of people, we have a mill, our Tacoma location is a 1901 sawmill, and we have modern milling equipment there. So we do a lot of lumber. We get all the big beams out of old buildings and stuff. We mill them into mantles, shelves, things like that you can come and, even if you're not a builder, you can, with a pretty low level of skill, you can put these kind of things in your house and just add a little bit of warmth.
So how does Earthwise Architectural Salvage contribute to sustainable, eco-friendly building practices?
Sure. So I would say both on the supply and the demand side. So, if you're going to be demolishing your kitchen, or, I should say remodeling your kitchen, which part of remodeling your kitchen is demolishing your old kitchen. Rather than having that all go to the landfill and just, rot away and contribute to climate change and all that, we go in, contractors love us because we go in and we actually do the removal. So we save them a ton of labor. And then we get these materials that, so no longer going to the landfill, they go to our shop. And basically if you're coming and buying reused cabinets, that's one less new set of cabinets that have to be made from virgin materials. When you think about supply chains and stuff we all got really familiar with, during COVID and everything, every single thing that we get, especially when it's stuff that's, made abroad, has this just long, carbon packed history of getting it to the sales floor of Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever, versus like, it doesn't get more local than us driving up to Queen Anne in a box truck, filling it up with, reusable cabinets. And a lot of times they're very nice houses that we're salvaging. So you get these very high-end materials, and then someone can come and buy them at a lower price. And, it's a big boom for the economy and for the green economy, especially.
Thanks, Aaron. How does the cost of using salvage materials compare to using new materials in construction or renovation? I know you kind of touched upon this earlier, but I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
Sure. I mean, it really is. It's the kind of thing where it's if we're going half of new, I mean, it's kind of hard to beat that, right? And a lot of these things, we deal with houses that was, it was an Airbnb before, so it's just like nobody ever used the appliances, nobody ever used the cabinets. So you save a lot of money on that, and so it's kind of a no-brainer, especially if you're kind of getting on your feet, or if you're doing a rental, or if you're doing an Airbnb or something like that. It's a really cost-effective way to outfit a home.
Love that.
Would you say it's about 50% off, or?
Yeah, it's about 50% off. I mean, because a lot of the stuff, we really specialize in older homes. So that's kind of one of the fun things. You can come in and get stuff that, it was built in the early 1900s. But if anything is still available, that's one of the ways that we price things. If you can find it at a normal hardware store, we just go look, okay, what's Home Depot selling it for? We're going to be half of that.
Yeah.
What would it cost to go get this, VG for door, 6-panel front door, we're going to be half of what it's going to cost to get it new. So yeah, it's pretty affordable.
So have you been able to see some of the effects of your clients out there in the workplace, the blend of the historical and new? Have you been able to see what they end up doing? Do you have any after pictures? Maybe not to share today, but.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's always been, it's always a tricky one because we get these amazing things and then they leave and then we don't always get the picture, the after picture. So we try and incentivize that by just any customer that comes and gets something from us. If they send us a picture of what they did with it, then we send them a coupon for their next purchase. Because that's one of the fun things. I mean, it's a great way for us to advertise, but it's also really fun. And a lot of times, if my retail staff didn't know the whole history, we'll reach out to them like, oh, I don't know if you knew this, but this was out of a 1925 church. And, we had to get it up, carry it up a bunch of stairs. And so a lot of people really like to have a story, when you have friends over and they're like, where did you find this? Where's this mahogany church pew from? And, and like, oh, actually that was University Temple. I got it at Earthwise last year. And, you can drive by it now. It's a gravel parking lot, but it was a 1925 church that, had all this amazing history. So we try whenever we can to get the history to the person who's buying it so that, bragging rights, but also
a church pew joke in there that I'm not going to say. So
I think that's for the best. I'm sure it's hilarious.
Aaron, what advice would you give to real estate professionals who are interested in incorporating architectural salvage into their properties?
I think it helps to plan a little bit. It helps to kind of know what your focus is because at any given time, I tell the retail managers here, it's like in the salvage world, you kind of get what you get. You get what is if someone's throwing something away, that's where we try to, insert ourselves to keep it out of the landfill. So if you have a really specific thing you're looking for, just start browsing our website and it will come along. So that's an important one. I think being a little flexible in your goals too. Like, don't be afraid to go and just wander around in one of these shops. I mean, there's not a ton of brick and mortar places left, but nothing beats actually wandering around our warehouse and just seeing things to get inspiration. So not being like too rigid and like, I want my shelf to be this exact thing. Cause you might be like, oh my God, I didn't know that they had this like live edge maple piece that just has, taken my heart right now. And the brackets that I need to install it. So not being too rigid with that. Really functional things like if you have a kitchen that has a lot of corners, make sure the cabinet set you buy has corner cabinets. That's something people seem to forget. But there's a lot of really creative ways that you can, retrofit materials as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, listen, Aaron, I so appreciate you coming on our show today and kind of opening up the eyes. We have a lot of people like you said that are going to buy a home that is just not got everything that they want. It has everything they need, right? Because we talked about that. And having a company like yourself, where's your Seattle location?
We are on 4th Avenue, right next to the West Seattle Bridge, about a mile south of the ball fields.
Awesome. Great. And then we can find you online. What's the website?
ewsalvage.com.
And
we have inventory that we update daily at all 4 locations. If you see something you like in Aberdeen, but you don't live by Aberdeen, if you purchase it, we can transfer it to any of our other stores.
Put it online?
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. Check out our inventory. Every single day we are uploading tons of stuff. We have tens of thousands of items on there. I'd say probably about 85% of our stores are online and shoppable.
That is awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'm just going to bring Tucker back in for our final thoughts. It's 2024. We've got a lot of opportunity out there. We've got ways to get you the cool new chic house you want. And I'm super excited. If you're watching this and you know of a business that would benefit from being highlighted here, let us know. Reach out to myself or Mary. You can find us on the SeattleRealEstateTeam.com. And everybody have a wonderful and prosperous new year.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You.